I saw the cutest, you see all the pictures and stuff, and it was Adventure Before Dementia.
Hi, I'm Elizabeth.
And I'm Missy, and this is You Should Meet My Friend. Today's guest is my friend, Melody Ron. I met Melody while we were all stationed in Delaware. Her and her husband, Carl, are now retired and live full-time in their RV. Today, she's in Texas, and this is very intriguing to me because I would love to do this. I don't know if I could do it full-time, but maybe for like extended periods. But they are in the very niche group of people in this world who basically RV all the time. Now, you do have a house. Is that correct, Melody?
No, ma'am.
No house. No house, no storage, no.
We have a 15 by 15 storage that every time we come back to Texas, we purge a little bit more. We have a few key things in there that I just had to hold on to.
Yeah.
I don't know if they're going to be anything left of them when we go back, when that may be, but in my heart, they're there.
Yeah. But it's lots of people are doing it right now. And I think you were doing it before COVID happened, but I know a lot of people started doing that during COVID, just RVing all the time, working remotely, took their kids out of school, homeschooling them, and living the life. We do have a travel trailer, and at about day 4, I start to go crazy. So, congrats.
There's many day 4s here. And today might have been one of them.
Oh no. Oh no. Wow.
We're in Texas. It's 90, about 90 something. And I'm in a tank top because I'm hot. A little bit of hot flashes going on. But sometimes it is what it is. And football's on and we got to watch football, but it's in the camper and it's a little warm.
Yeah. I guess if you need to get away, you just take a walk around the campground.
And I go for a walk. The place where we are has a nice pool. I can walk up there. I can sit back here, and we have a TV back here. I can do whatever I need to do here, and it's what you make of it. So
I was not paying attention during church, and so I was thinking, man, there are things I want to ask Melody. I don't know, Elizabeth, are you like the camping type? Would you ever consider packing or just putting all your stuff in storage and living in a camper?
This is not camping.
Yeah, that's true.
This is living. So there is a difference.
There is a difference. Yeah. I guess my first question would be, what was the inspiration to take the leap into full-time RVing?
Short story would be, we moved to Texas, thought everyone would come and visit us. We had the small house. A few people came. We couldn't fit anyone. We bought the big house. We had 4 toilets, 5 toilets. No one was coming to visit. I didn't want to wash any more toilets. So our kids are in Oklahoma and North Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
Kids are in school. And my mom's up in Minnesota. His dad's up in Minnesota. And they would come down to Texas. It just ended up that we were in the position to do this, and we can travel. We are healthy enough. Financially, we are well enough to do this. I don't know. It was just, all right, let's try it. Let's do it as long as we can, just because if I want to see my grandchildren, this is what I'm going to have to do. So, and that's important.
Fair. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
What year did you start?
April 22. So it was just at the end of the COVID stuff. We started really researching in 2021 with COVID, looking at people who were doing this. And we found a lot of people, military, that were doing this, and how they did it with their insurances, how they did it with their retirement, where did they get their medical, things like that.
Oh, yeah.
We don't jump into anything right away. And so we did a lot of searching online. And when we did it, we took 1 year of, we called it the shakedown, where we had the big camper and we tried different things and we made it our own. And then April of 22, we set off. He quit his job in October and we got going.
Yeah. So you did have a camper before. you
Yes.
did this. So you were knowledgeable and you weren't just jumping in.
We had camped with the kids. We had camped when we were, on the East Coast, when we were in North Carolina or North Dakota. Our parents had campers.
Yeah.
And so it was something that we knew.
Yeah. So what do you live in? Can you give us?
Yes. We live
basic?
in a 38-foot Montana, Keystone, Montana, fifth wheel, which is about maybe 300 square feet. And it has a bathroom. It had a king size bed. We put it down to a queen because then you have more room. It does not have a washer and dryer. We chose not to do that so that we can get out and use that for space.
I didn't realize there were campers that had built-in washers and dryers.
Yes.
Holy
You
moly.
they have the combo where you can wash and dry all in one, and then you could have the stackable, but it has a lot of weight.
I bet.
And I said, our closet's small. We wear the same clothes over. We have a tire that we wear when it's hot, when we're inside. But then like when we go to church, we have different clothes. When we go to Walmart, we have different clothes. And so we may change 4 times a day into the same back and forth. But and we pull it with a Ford F450 dually. So that's our only vehicle.
Yeah.
So.
Wow. What is your biggest challenge?
On what day? There have been driving challenges. There have been directionally challenged. Mostly it has been usually if I drive, because I do drive, and we trade off every 2 hours. And we do have a understanding now that I should not drive through the city. It's not that I can't do it, because I can do it and I will do it if we have to. But for sanity, my peace of mind, and for him, because he sits there and worries. I drove through Atlanta with our fifth wheel in traffic, in construction, and I was not happy.
Yeah.
That seems like a reasonable accommodation.
Right.
Yeah. Some people are passenger princesses. They don't. And I don't know. It wasn't in me. I need to know that. And the driving, just the construction, other people who don't know that I'm this big, and it takes a lot to stop. That has mostly been it. We've had really bad weather. We have had a tornado in the distance. Yet, and what is my husband doing during those tornadoes? He's watching them. He does that.
Yeah.
So we've parked where there was the B-1 bombers going over our head, back and forth, night flying, which was like, 2:00 in the morning. It's a toss-up. Sound of Freedom. We have a lot of trains nearby.
Yeah.
So when we sleep with a CPAP and we sleep with earplugs, and you adjust. This is the life that we are leading, and we're adjusting. Problems, I got to knock on wood. We've had one blowout. I was driving. Wow. It wasn't bad. Good. It could have been so much worse.
I applaud you, Melody. Driving through Atlanta in just a passenger vehicle is a challenge. But then to be pulling a nearly 40-foot trailer behind you, that is one thing that when we're pulling, we just have a 30-foot that weighs like 7,000 pounds, and you can't stop. And people are like, "Oh, I want to get out in front of them because they're going to go slow."
Yeah.
And then Chris is so good at it, because I have to cover my eyes. In construction, it feels like those lanes are just wide enough.
Yeah.
And we've had a couple of close calls, but it does take nerves to steel. So I applaud you for doing that.
Like I said, it's at the end of the day, I stopped drinking, but there has been many days when it's like I get done and I'm like, if I were a drinking gal now, there's not enough. So
right. I don't know. There are days when Chris is driving and I feel like Missy needs to drink, because then it would be better for all of us.
Yeah. My husband is a good driver. He's very safe.
Good.
And so I know
Yeah.
I know where he wants to go at the end of the day. And it's not in a ditch. It's not hitting another car.
Right.
He wants
Right.
to be in his own bed. So
That's right. So how often do you move?
it
How often do you
depends.
stay?
Our schedule right now, we're in October. We come back here to where Texas. It has been in October and in May, every 6 months to do medical. And
Okay.
so we come in October, the first 2 weeks are doctor's appointments. And if we have to see them again, so we're here and we're in Texas until January 1st. And then we're going to Tucson, Arizona. We have found we
Okay.
really love Tucson. Yay!
My mom lives
Yay!
there. I
Does
love
she?
Tucson.
Oh, we have really enjoyed it. So we'll go there until April. And then we'll come back and touch base in Texas for a few doctor's appointments. And then we start a cycle of the past 2 years. It has been Texas, North Carolina, Minnesota, Oklahoma, Texas. 2 years ago, we did Texas, Minnesota, Nashville, Minnesota, North Carolina, Minnesota, Oklahoma. We had a death in the family, and it was, but it was one of those things that we were able to do. We
Right.
didn't have to rush. There was times before when we were doing this where he had to be home for work, or I had to be home, or
Yeah.
and then you get in the rush of driving and you can't take your time, and then you're stressed, and one thing on top of the other. It's been very nice to be able to go where we want. We haven't seen
Right.
everything in Arizona that we want to see, so we have to keep
Yeah.
going back. I have not been up to Washington or any of the area where Miss Missy is, so I would like to go up there.
I live in northern Utah now.
I
moved
will go there. I will go there.
wherever Missy is.
There
And
we go.
we do have hookups. We don't have water just yet, but we do have an RV plug-in, so in space. And that was one thing when we moved here. I said to Chris, I said, we have a camper and we know a lot of our friends have campers, and we want people to come and bring their
Yeah.
own stuff. And
Yeah.
but that's fascinating to me. I always think, people that have vacation homes. I have a friend that she has a vacation home, and she's, don't do it. You feel obligated to go every time you have a free moment. But having a camper gives you that freedom, and especially in your RV, you're living in it, and you're like, hey, we don't like it here. We'll just move on. We'll just go to the next place.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you have a home many different places. So
Yes,
that's cool
definitely.
to me.
And we lived many different places when we were in the military. And there's some places where we want to go back to, and some places where like we don't need to go back. But like there are those places where neither one of us have seen. And
Right.
we have been blessed enough to see things overseas and
Right.
see things over here. When we were camping with the kids, we went to Gettysburg, and it was wonderful. And my daughter got in trouble for climbing a tree in Gettysburg. And I'm like, what an awesome memory. Young lady, get down from there. And
Yeah.
it's one of those things that those things come up, and it's neat things to have. So
I think about that too. When you ask your kids those core memories, I asked them one time, hey, remember when we were in Spain? What was your favorite part? And they're like, Dad knowing all the lyrics to, I don't know the title of the song, but it starts out, I got bills, I gotta pay, I gotta work
it's like
every day.
Isn't it like Chumbawamba or something?
yeah.
I don't know, something. And we're going down the interstate, and that song comes on, and he knows every word. And the boys were just like, how do you know all the words? And it's on AFN every
Yes.
morning when I get in the car.
Yeah.
And so it's just those core memories. The fact that you remember her getting in trouble climbing the tree.
Yeah.
The kids
Yeah.
don't remember, I don't know, the things we do. So
No, it's those things. And I do ask them different, do you remember da da da, or do you, and they're like, no. I'm like, all right. They're my memories. I enjoy them, and I'll make my memories until I can't make them, and then I'll make new ones because I won't remember that I don't have them anymore. So I saw the cutest, you see all the pictures and stuff, and it was Adventure Before Dementia. And I'm like, I like that.
That
And
is
then
a good theme to have.
when I forget, I'll just remember again, and it'll be a new memory. And so I'm really trying to keep that memory of, heaven forbid, when that time comes, because things are slipping now. I hope that I'll be able to do that. So,
I like it.
What kind of campgrounds do you typically stay in?
when we stay for a while, we stay at places on the quote resort side where they have a laundry and they have usually maybe like, they don't have to have a pool because we don't use it a lot, but places that are, we check out the reviews. We want to be a lot of KOAs. KOA, what you're going to get. So if we're going different places, we'll do that. When we stay for a while, it's usually at a resort type thing. The one in Arizona is a 55 and older. It has every amenity, every club, all those things that keep you active. And we really like that because we are on the younger side of that 55 and older, and we want to keep active. We learned how to play cards, which is great, but in Tucson, they have great bike trails, and they have great hiking trails. And we've become more active since we've been doing this. And that's important to us because if you just sit around, then I get bored. So,
yeah. So, what is your favorite thing? I can probably guess what your favorite thing is about this lifestyle.
let me hear what you think it is. I'm curious.
I would say, because not to throw people under the bus, but I have people who are like, oh, you never come visit, or you should visit. And I'm like, you could come here. I still got kids at home. We're busy, whatever. So I love the fact that you can, whenever you want or whenever you need, go see your grandkids and see your girls. So my guess is that's a pretty positive.
Last week, my daughter texted me, Mom, can you come out on December 6th to babysit? And I'm thinking, okay, first of all, I'm like, you know what? My mom didn't come out when I needed a babysitter. Missy, it just was not there. And part of me was like, oh, and part of me is, that's my grandbaby. Of course I'm going to go. And the ones in North Carolina, they just got through with the flood. And we were there. Yeah, we were there in July. And we spent a month and a half there. And so we know exactly where the water came, exactly all the roads. And before this happened, my granddaughter, she's 6, and she's, Mimi, can you come to my house? And I'm like, yes, I can. And I'm like,
you can't say no to that.
No, I can't. And so I'm going for Thanksgiving. Carl is not. I'm going to fly over. And it's, that's important to me. So it's not saying that it's not important to him, but he really likes his own area. And we're not going to take the camper because it's colder weather. There's chances of frost on the road with big vehicles. Not good. I'm flying over and I'm hopefully staying in a hotel because they live off the grid, and they live in a 17-foot camper, no running water. They have wood stove for heat. They have an outhouse. They have a hand pump. They're building a 12 by 12 cabin, and they're doing it by hand. And so like when we go there, we work and we, that kind of thing. They're on top of the mountain. So they got the 17 inches in a minute or so, but everything below them disintegrated, washed away, and things like that. So we'll see when I get there. But yeah, being able to go see grandma's and mom and dad. And when his mom passed, it was like we were in Nashville, and all right, so we're leaving tomorrow, and this is what we're going to do. And I've had my family come down and stay at the hotel or campground where we're at. So I've had people come out, which is great because then we still have our house, but we can still treat people around to different places. And being able to just get up and go is a great thing. I Also, we're retired and I really like that. I like having my husband around. We've been married 30, coming up on 35 years. And
Wow. Congrats.
when he retired, it was 2014 is when he retired. It was like half of our marriage, he was gone. And getting him back, it's totally like a new marriage. And it totally is like a new marriage because, Missy, I'm sure you learn
Yep.
to be independent in so many ways. And now you have to learn
Right.
to be there. And
Yeah.
that's one of the interesting things, asking for help. And we can do things, but to ask for help, especially when we're trying to do something in the camper, just, can you hand me this? Or it's 300
Yeah.
square feet, we can do it, we can ask for help.
Chris's first job out post retirement was very stressful. And there was a moment a year in, and I was like, this is not what we bargained for. Yeah, we're on a second career. It's supposed to be more
Yeah.
laid back. I said, this almost feels like you're deployed again. And so he made some changes because he was just like, I wasn't expecting this level of stress, and
Yeah.
it just was not good for us. And so
Yeah.
thankfully he was able to make some changes, and management supported that, and it
And
was much better. But
to have that choice
yeah,
after, I think of 25 years of them being told
right.
what to wear, what to do, who to be friends with, where to go. Missy, I don't know if I showed you a picture of him or not.
Does he have a beard? Does he look
Oh
like
my
Grizzly
God.
Adams?
No, it's DC Top.
Oh,
Oh,
ZZ
wow.
Top.
Yes, he's outside, but he went for everything. He had the ponytail at one time, and it was like half the
Really?
ponytail. He shaved it off, and he's got the beard. And
Meaning.
well, how do you feel about that? And I'm like, you know what? Growing up, his dad told him what to do. Then he went into the military, and the military told him, you know, what to wear, how short his hair had to be. I'm like, he is happy now. I'm happy. Sometimes there's a little extra egg or syrup on there. I get a little treat. So,
Melody, were you in the squadron when Cohen fell out of the window?
yes.
Okay. So it probably was Carl. And they
But,
shared an office?
yeah.
Yes. And Chris answered my phone call on speakerphone like he always did.
And there was,
I
yeah.
said some really bad words.
Yeah.
And I'm yelling at Chris.
Mm-hmm.
And he says very calmly, honey, call 911. And I was like, oh, I don't want to have to. But I think later I was like, oh my gosh, what Carl must think of me after that phone call. But,
no, he has had those phone calls from me. I had a squirrel in the house, and those phone calls happen. And
I know.
It's when that happened, it was like, I can't even imagine. But you were so good through the whole thing, and it was amazing.
We have great.
You have amazing kids, just amazing.
We've got some stories. I was telling that to some people at church today, and I said, I feel like my kids don't just do. They're usually pretty good. Like they're good people. They do the right things, whatever. But then they decide to do these big things, like fall out of windows, have seizures on airplanes. Yeah. They can't just do like pneumonia or something that we can deal with. It's always, these big events. And that was a big event. And we got through it because we were surrounded by good people. And it's a great story.
It is. It's a very unique part of being in the military is
your tribe. Yeah.
Yeah. You're really, even if you don't want to be, you're in each other's pockets. So there's no hiding the family crisis. It's impossible. So,
right.
And sometimes you want to hide it and you can't. And sometimes, it's a good tribe to have.
That I probably learned that about the military life, Melody, from you. And without going into details, because you and I know all the details, I saw you at your best in Delaware, and I was just like, man, she doesn't say no. She jumps in. She's not afraid. You're a very giving person that you take care of people. So I appreciate that about you. Oh, now I'm going to make her cry.
Edit this out too.
No, I was a young wife trying to figure things out too, and you were a great role model. So I appreciate that. So now you have to come see me because I made you.
I'm having a hot flash. Yes, again, those are the things that we can do, and it's one of the questions that you asked: if your house is burning down, what would you take?
Yeah,
mine would be my phone, because if I don't have paper near me, I have my phone, and I have to write things down. And if someone says, "Oh, you need to try that," I go right to my phone. I have a spot on there. In Arizona, this is what you do, and you'll go check in on this. And I don't have anything for Utah or Washington area, so I need to explore that.
Yes, you do. I'll help you with that when you head this way.
That would be awesome.
It may just be sitting. This is a working farm, or not a farm, but it's a working piece of property. So we usually have projects that people can maybe do some remodeling or some building.
My kids know. So every time we go see family, it is a working project. Like I said, my children are building their home. Our other children have a brand new house that they needed help with. We go back to Minnesota. I tell my mom, what's on your list? My father-in-law has his list. This is not a sit around retirement.
Yeah.
If I'm not doing something, I get bored.
Yeah.
I do have hobbies. I read a lot. For my birthday, I asked for Audible and Kindle Unlimited. I'm like, yes. So now I don't. That's again because I will pick up books, but books end up with weight and space. And so I will go to the free little libraries and I will check those out. And I usually have a stack of books. And so I'll put some in there and share and stuff like that. I have that. I try to crochet because I can do that while we're driving. But, there's, like I said, there's a lot of things at parks that I do. And I try to get out. So,
yeah. What's a favorite book you've read recently?
I just got done with Before We Were Yours. And it's the second time that I read it. And it was like, oh my God. And it's a true story. There's authors that I like. I really like mystery thrillers is what I like. I'm always up for a new kind. One of my favorite authors now has a whole bunch on Netflix, and we watched all those. We do a lot of movies. I'm always looking for a new book, a good book, a fun book.
And there's a whole culture. You mentioning that lady giving you your book. We've camped for years, and we've made friends that we've stayed in contact. But it is that type of thing. They don't know you, and they'll just walk over and be like, "Hey, I'm done with this book. You want to borrow it?" Or you're like, I remember one time we needed a corkscrew, and we'd forgot to pack one. And I went over and asked these people, and then we ended up visiting with them the time we were there. So camping people are
that was one of my
campgrounds. What?
That was one of my questions is I assume, especially if you're staying for an extended amount of time, there's characters that you meet in campgrounds. So can you think of an interesting character you've met recently?
I would probably say last year we were staying in New Braunfels, and there was a gentleman, and he would come and walk his dog, and he would just talk my husband's ear off, and it's, we have an appointment, we got to go. And he needed someone to talk to. And it's those kinds that are just so sweet doing that. We've had interesting neighbors. We've had just loud neighbors, or, I can't tell. I can tell you this one, but you'll have to. Okay. Last week, our neighbor was dressing a deer off his fifth wheel hitch.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
And like his kids are helping. It was a whole thing, which is not a problem. But I'm like, we're in the city limits. How are you getting a deer?
Yeah.
And so we're in a small community, and the owners own some land, and he must have got permission, and he must have had a bow. And my husband said, first of all, he goes, lucky that's not a Minnesota deer, because you don't have enough room between your hitch and the ground, because Minnesota deers are larger than Texas deers are
Yeah.
little.
Yeah, yeah.
But that was
That's kind of
weird.
that's a
Interesting.
weird thing to do.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but that's weird.
Yeah.
You're in a
Yeah.
and you're in a camper. Like, where are you going to put all that meat? You're done dressing it, and
I
then
know.
there's the mess, and
Yeah. It draws
Yeah.
all the other
Heather.
animals, raccoons, stuff would be really
Exactly.
interested.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah. Yeah. So that was, yeah, that was interesting. There's been other weird, just weird things. That I think that was probably the weirdest lately.
How awesome now that you can watch movies and
Mhm.
TV and read
Mhm.
books and not
Mhm.
have to lug all that around.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
that's
We,
probably where
Yep.
living that way is a lot easier than it was before.
yeah, Carl watches movies over and over and over and over and over again. And so we brought our movies with. When I pared down the movies, I went through stuff that I don't need to watch a movie 4 times. And so if it was a rom-com that I thought was fun or something, I, donated that. And we did a lot of donating. A lot of our movies went to the blood bank, because when you're donating blood
Mhm.
for plasma, you can watch a movie. Our books went to the little landing libraries. I would go and I'd, stock all those up.
We did. I just,
Do you?
my husband and I just did a hike, a 5-day hike of the Grand Canyon. And I have to read to go to sleep. I
Yeah.
just have
Mm.
to.
Yeah.
So it was so cool that my phone, there was zero signal anyway. So it
Mhm.
wasn't a
Mhm.
communication device. It was my camera and it was my
Yeah.
book. And it
Yeah.
was pocket sized, which was
Yeah.
really helpful.
Yeah. I'm trying to do something like that with my sisters. My sisters are up in Minnesota, and have you heard of the Boundary Waters?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So there's a spot up in northern Michigan, Canada, that you can only portage in, portage out. And there's also a spot on the other side of the Superior. It's called Isle Royale.
Mm-hmm.
And my sister's done it, and we made the pact this year. We're going to do that. And you got to
Mhm.
fly in, and it's 5 days. And I asked my sister, I said, why do you choose that over Boundary Waters? And she's, Boundary Waters has bears, and Isle Royale has wolves. So, the lesser of the two. I'm like, okay.
Okay.
So we're going to do some hiking up at Isle Royale. So that's going to be our little sister getaway. So wish us luck for that. It's hiking. So
Mhm.
we'll see.
Do you decorate for the holidays since you pared down? You still put up a Christmas tree?
What did we do? I think last year, no, we did not last year. This year we might get like a little tree.
Yeah.
I have my things, but I just haven't. And also at that time we were traveling a lot too, because we can.
Yeah.
So we went up to his dad's, we went over to my grandchild's.
Yeah.
And again, if I'm missing something, I go sit at my friend's house, and we don't have any animals right now. And so I go to my girlfriend's house, and they have, two of them have golden doodles. One has a schnauzer doodle or something like that. And I love on them. And we miss our animals a lot. I have friends, and they let me love on them. So
Good.
yeah.
That's a good way to live vicariously through your friends. They always said if you wanted a boat, to find a friend with a boat.
we had a boat, and the best day of our time owning the boat was the day that we sold it.
Oh yeah.
And again, that was in Delaware. No, we had one in Delaware, and we ended up buying another one in Illinois. And the gentleman that bought it had never had a boat, and he was like calling us months after, hey, how do you do this? And it's what? So, but we've had boats, we've had trucks, we've had trailers. Our life has been ebb and flow of so many different things. We've had motorcycles. Yeah, we had, when we moved down to Texas.
Right.
Yeah, we both had motorcycles, and that was awesome. We rode from Texas to Sturgis, and Had some
Wow.
beautiful rides, and
Very cool.
Yeah.
so then sold that and got an RV, and yeah.
There you go. And it really has to be a much simpler life. I do appreciate that part of it. All of this kind of gets to be a burden after a while. You got to clean it, you got to pay for it, you got to worry about it, got to upkeep. So it
Mhm.
does
Well,
a burden.
and there's just like when you have a house, there's upkeep for your truck and for your trailer. And if you don't do your maintaining, things break. And it's just a matter of my house cleaning now takes what, 10 minutes. You know, I have one toilet. And when we go away for an extended time, like we're going to Oklahoma, we're going to rent a car, but we'll turn off the water here. We'll turn off the electricity because we don't want anything to happen. We don't want, you know,
Right.
the
Mhm.
cold weather. And last year there were people that had frozen pipes and stuff like that. And you still have things that you have
Yeah.
to do. And
Yeah.
yeah, but I have containers and small things of things like cards. I still handwrite cards. And so
Oh,
I have a container of cards. I have my sewing in one container. I have just little bits and pieces. And I feel for Carl because when where's this? And I'm like, all right, you have to move one thing and then you have to take the other thing out and then you have to turn it to the right. And just like he Jenga's things in his way, I Jenga mine so that they
Uh-huh.
don't move while we travel. Because when you're taking it's earthquake every time
oh yeah.
bring
Sure.
your camper around and it gets dusty. And yeah.
Here's a random question for you. When
Mhm.
you step away from the camper and you're
Mhm.
on a trip, what's a luxury you indulge in that you can't get while you're living in your camper?
A long hot shower
Oh,
with a huge head or
Oh,
a
yeah.
bathtub. My girlfriend was away this week and she said I could use her bathtub. So
oh.
I'm gonna go take a bath in a quiet house all by myself. And it's funny too. I said, okay, so this is weird, but I'm gonna have to clean it first for my own sanity,
Yeah.
and then I will take it. And she's like, okay, you can clean my bath.
Yeah. There you
And
go.
yeah, so the bathtub and shower is probably the biggest. And when I go to my sister's, I'm like, yeah, I'm using your hot water. But
Yeah.
so on that same line, when my grandkids came to visit, they don't have indoor plumbing. They heat their water and they put it in a gravity fed shower and they
Mhm.
get like maybe 3 minutes. And
Wow.
so they were like, oh, can we take a shower? I'm like, yes, you have hot water? Yes. Yeah, we're the best grandparents. So,
Right.
it's the little thing. And those are going to be things that they remember. Our grandparents let us take showers. That's
That's
cool.
funny. So, what advice would you have for someone who wanted to RV full time?
Probably a few different things. Downsizing is emotional. It's
Oh,
hard. It's
no.
gut wrenching. That if you can get through that, that's a huge thing. Do you know? Depending on what type of rig. If you want a class A, if you want a class C, if you want to tow something behind, do your research. There's many people that jump into it and don't.
Yeah.
When we were looking, we saw a couple different brand new rigs, brand new truck. They went for a month. They didn't like it.
Mm.
We had some friends that we rode with motorcycles. They literally sold everything also and bought a class A, which is the driving one, and
Yeah.
a Jeep, and they lasted 3 weeks.
Oh my gosh.
Oh
And
my.
we do a little bit at a time. We did a little bit at a time. We had camped with the kids. When we started doing this, we got a class C, which is like in between it's a drivable, and we just did a little bit of that, and we were like, okay, can we do this? Trying it out a little bit at first, rent. There's
Yeah.
companies out there that can rent, and you don't have to get rid of everything. You really don't.
Yeah.
There's We chose to do that just because I think we had accumulated, which has been wonderful, so many great things from so many different places. But it was getting, my kids didn't want any of the stuff.
Right.
When I went through and was downsizing, I'd find something and I'd take a picture of it and I'd send it to the kids. Do you want this? No. I'm like, all right. And yeah, I hope that they're okay with it 12 years down the line. But again, my memories, I have my memories.
Right.
Absolutely.
That's very good advice. So,
Mhm.
so shall Elizabeth,
I was
shall
going
we
to say
segue into our regularly scheduled questions?
the questions. Absolutely.
Yes.
Melody, what would
Yeah.
be the title of the book about your life?
I have it written down. I would say, have you ever heard of the term a working title?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Because I would just say the working title, because
I like it.
if you don't like it, wait 5 minutes and it's going to change. I had a web, what's it called? The thing where you a vlog or something at one time. And
Yeah.
I called it something about my thoughts through the Post-it notes, because
Oh, yeah.
my attention span is about as big as a Post-it note.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
things change. And 20 years ago, did I ever think that we would be doing this? No. When we retired, did I think that we would be doing this? No. And so nothing has ever been my plan. It's always been someone else's plan. And oh my gosh, has he laughed? He has laughed so much. Yeah,
Yeah.
I
If,
just
if nothing else, oh, what was that phrase you used? It could always be, adventure. What is it?
Adventure
adventure
before
dementia.
dementia.
before dementia.
There
Yep,
you go.
adventure
I'm going to
before
use
dementia.
that.
Yeah. All right. I'll take that. Yeah.
We'll help
Yeah.
you. Elizabeth and I both want to write books. So
Oh,
we're in the business of helping other people when
there you
we
go.
don't write.
That's
Right.
awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, what is an unpopular opinion you have that you stand by?
I still, the thought of bloom where you are planted. I heard that so much in the military, but
Yeah.
it's you do have to bloom if you want to,
Yeah.
if you want something out of life. If you don't want something out of life, that's fine. That's the route that you're going to go down. Even when we're RVing, I'll walk across, hey, how are you doing? Or the book situation. Hey, have you read any books? Here's some books.
Yeah.
I'm that type of person, and I'm sure that sometimes drives my husband batty, because anytime I see a Minnesota license plate, I'm like, oh, where are you from? Or your Air Force? Oh, we are too.
Right.
And just that type of, what's her name, Pollyanna.
Mhm.
Sometimes I'm a little too Pollyanna, but it's I sometimes I would rather be more Pollyanna than not. Also, you can do anything for a minute.
You can do anything for a minute.
Yeah.
Yep. Writing that down.
There are those things that, yeah, that's not going to happen. But you know what? I can walk for a minute.
Right.
I can sit down and think for a minute. I can breathe for a minute. I can balance on one leg for 1 minute for my own health. The harder things in life also, you can drive your truck for 1 minute. It's not going to kill you. And there are those things that will, but I'm thinking Pollyanna. I'm Pollyanna. So
Yeah.
that's
That's really, I really need to take that to heart. You can do anything
know.
for a minute.
well,
I like it.
It's similar to take any problem and just do little bites at a
Yes.
time, and
Yeah.
eventually
Yeah.
it won't be such a big problem.
How do you eat a penguin, or how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. And you think of meeting so many different people, so many different challenges. You don't know what's going on
Mhm.
behind their door, and you don't know.
Right.
Yeah, but in those hard times, I think of people, and it's even people that are struggling, are running 5Ks, or they're doing this, and it's saying, if people would clear one leg and they can do this, what's my excuse? I have no excuse. Just get out there 1 minute. And I said that one, I was thinking that there was one time when I ran a 5K. It's okay. One more minute. Oh, I did that. All right. One more
Right.
minute. And, you know,
Right.
it's okay. It's going to be okay. So.
That's great advice. Yeah.
Okay. You did answer our question about what you would rescue if your house was on fire.
So that would be my phone because one, I back it up, and last month we had an issue and it was backed up, so I saved everything. But I write down on my calendar if my friend's going on a cruise. I write down the cruise dates on my calendar so that one, I know not to call her, but I know where they're going. If my mom has a doctor's appointment, I will write it down so that I can go back and check on her. We have needed it for different appointments. When was your last colonoscopy? I can tell you because I have it written on here. Where were you when we're doing our bills? These things come up on our accounts. It's PFC WW3 in Nebraska. We don't know what it is. And so you actually, I find out where I was, what we were doing, and it's, okay, now we can figure out where it was. Carl was sick last year, and I'd been sick a few times. And I said, you know what? Actually, I pulled it up. I said, you've been sick 8 times this year. He's, what? I said, yeah. I've been keeping track of it because I love you. And at that time, it was like, oh, this might be a problem. So everything from dates to where people tell us to go, to books, to when we were in Arizona. Carl was born in Arizona, and he took me around where his house was. And so I videoed him, and I had it on a voice and a video. And then when we were back in Minnesota, I had my sister-in-law listen to it. She's, I remember that. And it was like, she was able to be there. I've done that with my mom. She'll tell a story. I'll grab my phone. And it's how we used to record the grandparents telling their stories.
Sure.
I'll do this. When my mom passed away, during COVID, I was writing letters and asking the strange questions of people like, did you have a job when you were in high school? Who taught you how to drive? What was your first vehicle? Different things like that. And I would ask my mom, my mother-in-law, and she wouldn't answer. And so finally I asked her these questions. And after she passed, I wrote these things down and I gave them to her daughters. And they're like, we never knew about that. And so it's, like I said, if I don't have paper, I have that. And I still keep my notebooks, and I will keep them because I will need dates in there or whatever. So my phone, it's cliche, but we've gotten rid of everything. And it's backed up. I have my beautiful pictures of my grandkids.
Right.
And it's just stuff.
Yeah,
It's
exactly. At the end of the day.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. And it's really helped us. It really has.
Melody, what organization do you support that you would like to share with our listeners?
I was trying to think of that one, and any of the military ones, Fisher House is a great one.
Absolutely.
Fisher House does a lot for the military. We do a lot for the Fisher House. Carl's done things for that. When we were riding, we did some things, some charities for that. That's probably anything for the young airmen that don't know what they're getting into.
And lastly, what friend would you recommend that we interview next? Now, keep in mind, our mission is that people don't think they're extraordinary, but there's a lot of very ordinary people with extraordinary stories.
I was trying to think of that one. I have not come up with one because immediately I was thinking of other military people who are doing this. I'm still working on that one. I haven't.
Okay. No problem.
I'm not giving.
You can get back to us.
But I will tell you, it's not your job to schedule them. That's what we do. What Missy and I do is we just send them a barrage of requests until they can't refuse us any longer. So you don't have to worry about scheduling them.
That's good.
Right.
Just giving us their contact info.
Okay. That is good to know. Yeah, just because it's you've been in this bubble of military for so long.
Mhm.
that my mind still, I thought when we got out, I didn't want anything to do with the military. And I don't want to say it sucked me back in, but it's in my blood, and we still,
Right.
It's such
Yeah.
an instant connection. So the reason why I'm out in California is my mother-in-law loves to have this big Halloween party.
oh, fun.
Now, the average age of the attendee is 80, and it starts at 4 and it ends before dark because nobody wants to drive at night.
Yep. Yep.
And so we help them clean up their yard and help with
Mhm,
the food,
mhm.
and we're just general dogs bodies to help.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
so we're sitting out in the backyard because it's California and it's actually hotter than normal, and we have these one piece flannel costumes. So we were sitting outside, and sure enough, one guy sitting next to us was a Marine in his late teens and early 20s, and he was stationed at this little teeny place in Japan that my husband had actually been to. And so we talked all about Japan.
Yeah.
And then there was
Yeah.
another couple that we were chatting with, and both the husband and the wife were Air Force veterans, not
Yeah.
just military, but Air Force
Yeah.
veterans. And she had been a maintenance troop, one of the first female maintenance troops, because they had just opened the career field. And so that's how she and her husband met, because they had been aircraft maintainers. So we weren't even trying. Like, we're
Yeah.
nowhere near an Air Force base. We're with my in-laws, friends, and here were all these military connections that
Yeah.
it's just you just have such a common bond. It's really
Yeah.
easy to have a great conversation.
Yeah. It is. It's neat. I couldn't want it any other way. My best friends. You make so many friends, and I know Missy, we haven't seen or talked since what, 2009.
Yeah.
And
Melody, we're not going to wait that long. And this podcast has been a little self-serving because Elizabeth and I do get to talk to friends from the past,
yeah.
and
Yeah.
it's been a delight to get to reconnect with you. So
Yeah.
let's not wait so long.
All right. That sounds great. Thank you again for
Yeah.
yeah, I appreciate it.
It was great to meet you, Melody.
Nice to meet you too.
Yes. Elizabeth, what did you learn from talking to Melody?
What I really appreciated about meeting Melody is she seems to have such an attitude of awe when it comes to new experiences.
Yeah.
But balanced with the real issues of how do you take a whole house and a whole lifetime and
Right.
reduce it down to one storage facility while you live in an RV. And I thought it was very
Yeah.
sweet too that she's enjoying the time with her husband, that after being in a military career where you're apart so often, that she's enjoying having undivided attention and giving undivided attention, which I think is really sweet.
Yeah, I appreciate that part too. I thought about that. We took on this endeavor to refurb this farm, and it does require a lot of work that Chris and I sometimes get consumed with. We've tried to at least do it together, so then we're spending good quality time. But I thought about that. Maybe we should knock some things off our list or eliminate some things just so we could maybe take vacations and spend quality time together. I enjoy camping. I don't know if I would enjoy it every day, but I know so many people who do, and they just talk about their quality of life, or at least their relationships improve because they don't have all of the busyness of a household, or
Yep.
in our case, a farm.
Yeah.
Life is an adventure, and that, I think that's what we got from Melody, is she really has embraced it, and
Absolutely.
it's admirable. So
Well, and
it was a joy to talk to her.
I like that they have like a pattern to their life. Like they spend time in Texas because that's where their doctors are, so they can get caught up on that, and then time in Arizona, and then they spend the summer shuttling as necessary between family. And I think to have a little bit of a structure, even if where your house is moves, I think is important.
Yeah, I think that really helps. And then, like she mentioned, yeah, if you don't like a place, you can move. And there is that. But yeah, it does not surprise me that they have a rhyme and a reason, and it's very well organized and some structure instead of just being vagabonds going wherever the wind send you. I will say this is probably, I liked talking to her because I'm sure there's not too many people that we're going to talk to on this podcast who live in an RV full time and
Mhm.
make that their life. So
Yeah.
I,
And what a great chance for you to catch up with a old friend.
oh, for sure. And just like I knew it would be, she's easy to talk to and just jumping back in and talking to her. And that's, as we said on the podcast, that's the military way of life. We just,
Yep.
we're able to pick up whenever we want.
She was lovely. Just a lovely person
Yeah.
to talk to.
She is. She's a
Mhm.
sweetheart. And I made her cry.
And she's trusting us to cut out all of the don't put this in your podcast moments. So we'll see. When I go back
Right.
and listen, we'll see how many I'll abide by or not.
All right. Yeah. I know. Sometimes I think about that too. I'm like, I probably shouldn't have said that. Maybe Elizabeth will take it out, or our very few listeners. We'll just go right over their
Dozens.
head,
I think
but-
we're up to dozens. Our dozens of listeners.
Dozens.
Yeah.
This is awesome. It'd be great if it was hundreds.
Find us at facebook.com/YSMMF podcast and Instagram at YSMMF podcast for episode announcements. Thanks.